Shalom, and welcome back to Bnei Noach Academy, Thoughts on the Torah. Please remember to hit the like button, to subscribe, and most importantly, to share this insight and inspiration with friends and family. So when you look in Book of Numbers, chapter 12, verses 1, 2, 3, 4, what happened? Well, Moses' sister, Miriam, who is older than him, she, as it says, Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses. Well, they didn't intend to speak against Moses, but what did they say? What was it that they spoke against him? They spoke regarding or about the woman that he took, meaning his wife Zipporah. And what did they say in verse 2? Vayomru, and they said, has God spoken only through Moses? Has God not spoken through us as well? And God heard it. Now, what happened over here? What was it that they were saying or complaining about, if I may? Well, you see, in the end of chapter 11, there were these two gentlemen who became prophets suddenly. And when they became prophets suddenly, Zipporah, who was Moses', I want to say at this point, ex-wife, when she heard it, she just exclaimed, and it was just a natural, so to speak, outburst, if I may, woe is to their wives, because now they are not going to be, so to speak, the normal husband and wife situation any longer, as happened to me. Well, when Miriam heard this, and remember, till now it was discreet, Miriam starts to discuss it with Aaron. But she not only repeated what she heard, she gave her commentary. Now let's understand her commentary. Let's understand her perspective on it. She herself is known as one of the prophetesses. Aaron was certainly a prophet. We know in the Torah many times when God spoke to him, directly to him. Even on occasion, God spoke to him exclusive from Moshe, from his brother Moses. So he certainly was a prophet. So they were kind of in this business, so to speak, of prophecy. They understood how it works. And Miriam was astonished. She couldn't understand. Why would he have to separate from his wife? Why would he have to isolate himself and live a life of exclusivity and not, exclusivity towards spirituality, so towards the holy, and be totally removed from the down-to-earth life? Now, I want to say something. There's a very general rule that applies to all aspects of the Torah, to all episodes in the Torah, and that is that the Torah always refrains from portraying anyone, even anything. We find it by, for example, in the Parsha, in the story of Noach and the flood, in regards to the animals, anything, anyone, the Torah refrains from portraying it in a negative light, unless there is a lesson to be learned. Then it has to be explicit, then it has to be clear, then it has to be transparent. So the fact that the Torah is telling us this story of Miriam and giving us the detail is obvious that it's not just here to tell us not to speak negatively about others, because that we know from elsewhere, and it would have sufficed to just tell us, hey, she spoke about him, this is what happened, and don't do it. But why share with us the details? Why share with us the argument? Well, the answer is that on a general level, or generally speaking, she was right. The Torah is sharing her argument because she was correct. From the perspective that she came from, not only she came from, we all come from, meaning we all, those who follow the Torah, those who walk in the ways of the Torah, she was correct. And that's why she couldn't understand. She wasn't just looking to criticize her brother Moses. She was very proud of her brother Moses, but she couldn't understand. She was astonished. She was bewildered. What's going on here? Why would a man leave his wife because he's more connected to God? On the contrary, we know that in order for one to be more connected to God, you can't just, so to speak, soar and fly up spiritually, but you have to always remain with your feet grounded in the real world, as we call it, down to earth. And that's what the Torah shares with us. And that explains why this idea that Moses separated himself from his wife is actually an exclusive idea. It's an exclusive thing. It's actually the exception, not the rule. So her mistake was that she was including Moses in the rule. She was including Moses, so to speak, with the general rule, with the general public, with the general population. That was her mistake. But the truth is, and this is the lesson we learn from here, that she was absolutely correct in her thinking. She was absolutely right. And that's why the Torah shares with us. So bottom line, if somebody wants to be a more spiritually inclined person, somebody wants to be holier, more connected to God, you don't do so by removing yourself from the world, but rather by being involved in the world, of course, in a healthy, or as we call it, in a kosher, in a correct manner, as dictated by God's rules and vision. But for one, this idea that when one is, so to speak, a priest or a spiritual servant of the people, they remove themselves from normal life and become detached from, the real, so to speak, real life out there. They become detached from the down to earth. That is not a godly ideal. That is not what God wants. That is not how he wants us to live our lives.